my dear friends and my dear students. So today we will see first year PUC's reflections, unit number 4. The course book has got 13 units. So among them we are going to select for today's discussion unit number 4, that is Oru Manushyan. So Oru Manushyan is a unit which has been written by Vaikum Muhammad Bashir, who was born in the year 1908 and who lived up to 1994. So for our information, so we have to know that he is a great follower of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Vaikum Muhammad Bashir is the Sultan of telling the short stories, and he had a lot of impacts on the common man's life. Let's see what will he portray in the stories of him. Sympathetic portrayal of the joys and sorrows of an ordinary life will be portrayed by him in the short stories of him. So he is such a great writer who can be called as the Sultan of telling the short stories and the great follower of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. He who has travelled distant places when he was away from his hometown. There he had experienced so many things in his life. All those were portrayed in this particular unit, that is the short story Oru Manushyan. He was the honorary fellow of the Sahitya Academy year in 1970. He was the recipient of the Central Sahitya Academy Award and Padma Shri in 1982. Oru Manushyan means a human being. Can we find a human being in this society? And how will be they when the people will move out of the local area or hometown? What type or what kinds of troubles will be faced by them can be seen here in the first part of the unit. In pre-reading activity we have this thing. What or who according to you is a good human being? Think of these qualities in a person: helping the needy, extracting money from others, living a self-contented life, being violent. When the writer had left his hometown and he moved away nearly 1500 kilometers away from his hometown, then he tells in the initial part of the story, when you may not have definite plans, when you may not be there in the hometown, when you are without money, then the troubles are going to befall on you. The person who helps you during the tough time, though the person may be a stranger, that help will be recalled and remembered forever in one's life. Especially the narrator says that he remembers it. Further, he describes what type or what kinds of people were there. Let us say it is I, not you, who remembers the man. So the narrator remembers the person who helped him, though he was a stranger, because he thinks that what made that fellow who was a stranger to help him. See, if we help others, the same person may not help us. In turn, there were so many other men and women in the system who are going to help us. Now he further narrates about the people who are there in that locality where he moved away from the hometown. He tells that it is impossible even to weigh one's temperament. Let's see, he describes here. I have some vague notions about human beings, including myself. The narrator says that it is impossible even to weigh the notions of oneself. There are around me good men and thieves, those who suffer from various infectious diseases and from even madness. One has to live carefully. So he suggests there one has to lead a careful life, because in the society there were good men, even mad fellows, as he describes here. The people who are infected with diseases will be there. That's why we should lead our lives carefully. The world has more evil than good. We realize this only after we get hurt. Unless we get the hurt from the system, we may not know that the system is so. The society has got more evil than the good. This is what he says and asserts. The reason he explains in the next part of the story. Let me record here that incident which was perhaps quite insignificant, though he tells about his area of residency and how did he spend his time when the time was too tough for him, when he was away from the hometown. It was quite a big city in the valley of a mountain, some 1500 miles from home. The inhabitants of which had never been known for the quality of mercy. The people who were leading their lives in that area where the narrator had stayed were merciless. Do you know why did he say and why did he call them as merciless individuals? They were a cruel people. Murder, robbery, pickpocketing, these were daily occurrences. The narrator calls the people merciless because the regular actions are going to create fear in him. Pickpocketing, murder, and apart from this, robbery, they were common in this area. That's why the people were merciless. But by tradition, the people were professional soldiers. Some of them went to distant places and lent out money on interest. Many others served as watchmen in banks, mills, and large commercial establishments in big cities. Money was highly valued by them. For money, they would do anything, even commit murder. See, the people who are leading in that area, they provide a lot of importance to money, but not the people. For money, they can even kill an individual. They can even murder. See, such a merciless and ruthless fellows were they. I stayed in that city in a very small dingy room on a dirty street. I carried on a profession there, teaching English to those migrant laborers, because who thought that writing an address in English was considered by them as education. So he teaches them during the night time, that too from 9:30 to 11. Every night he teaches the migrant laborers. They thought that writing an address in English or writing the address in English was considered by them as education. That's why the people are too crazy to learn this. And he gives there the situation. The reality was shown by him. Whenever people will be found in the post office, they will request so many people to write the address. For writing the address, they were paid in between annas. This is how he earned his living on that distant place which is away from the hometown. I taught the skill of writing addresses to people in order to escape the same fate myself and to see if I could save some money. In those days, I would sleep all day and wake up at 4 in the evening. So when the days of him were so tough, when there was the scarcity of income, then he would like to wake up in the evening just because to save his afternoon meal and a morning cup of tea. See how tough was the time for the narrator, because he had picked a profession, but that profession couldn't even provide him 2 meals per day. Those were the tough days for him. We usually get up in the morning, but the narrator has to wake up during evening time, that too around 4 o'clock. One day I got up 4 p.m. as usual. I finished my daily course and stepped out for my tea and a meal. You must understand that I was dressed in a suit. Though the narrator may not have at least 2 meals per day, he projects to the system that yet he is capable of maintaining himself. He was dressed in a suit. See, people will give only importance to the outfits that was presented by the man. The whole life's saving was just 14 rupees. Imagine how tough was his time. He put the money in his purse or wallet. He moves towards the crowded restaurant where he orders for a full meal which consists of meat curry and chapatis. He ate full meal. After he had the meal, he drank a cup of tea as well. The bill came to 14 annas. Till then, he was very happy in that restaurant. The restaurant was too busy enough. When he is about to pay the bill, when he puts his hand in the pocket, then the food which was consumed by him, in an instant, he feels that it was digested because there was no presence of the purse or wallet in his pocket. He profusely sweat and then he narrates the same to the owner, but the narrator and his plea was not understood by the owner. He heard the lapel and he shook him, and with a loud gurf he said that I may not leave you unless you pay the bill. He tells there, this type of tricks may not work over here. Unless you pay the bill, you may not move away. Then he tells there, I will gouge your eyes out. This trick won't work here. Put the money down and go, or else I will gouge your eyes out. So this was said by the owner. How can the owner remove the eyes from him? Let's see. That part was discussed now. I looked at the people around me. I didn't even see one kind face. They had the look of the hungry wolves. How are the people who are there in that restaurant looking at him? The people who are there in that restaurant, they observe the narrator just like hungry wolves. All their intention is very clear. Someone has to be insulted and that insult has to be seen by them. They should get the joy from it. See how merciless the people are in that crowded restaurant. If he said he would gouge my eyes out, he would gouge them out. Then he knew that the owner is the tough fellow. If he has said that he will gouge my eyes out, he will definitely do that work. Do you know what did he do? I said, let my coat be here. I will go and bring some money. The narrator felt that it is damn sure. Now the fellow is going to do as he has said. So he just removed his coat and places it on the counter and says that, give me the time, I will go and get the money. But see the reactions of the owner here. The restaurant keeper laughed again. This laughter indicates he knew that this fellow wants to escape, but he is nowhere to leave him. He asked me to take off my coat. I took off my coat. See the next line. He asked me to take off my shirt. I took off my shirt too. He asked me to take off both my shoes. I took off both shoes. Finally, he asked me to take off my trousers. The man was merciless too, like the others in that locality. He didn't even leave a single cloth on him. In this way, he wanted to remove his eyes. The moment when he thought that he has to remove his trousers, then he felt that this is how he wants to insult me. See what happens when he has to remove the trousers. He may not be so easy, which were done by him like earlier. Now he has to remove the trouser, but he reveals the secret, and the secret was that he may not have anything underneath. Immediately, all the people who were there in that restaurant laughed and joined their words with the owner. We doubt it. See how merciless the people are. See how merciless the owner is. They wanted to know. And at any cost, they want to see that the fellow has to be insulted. So merciless and ruthless the fellows are. Everyone laughed. The restaurant keeper said, I doubt it. You must have something on underneath. About 50 people repeated, there must be something on underneath. The fellow who wears the suit, can't he have an underneath cloth? That was the doubt which was there for the owner. Meanwhile, the people who have gathered there. My hands refused to move. I saw in my imagination a man standing in the crowd, stark, naked, and without his eyes. The fellow feels that this is how my life is going to end. If you, the Almighty God, wants to end my life like this, let my life end to the satisfaction of all the people who have gathered there. And with that note, he is ready to remove his trousers. Next may be seen in the next video. Thank you very much. When the narrator is ready to undo the buttons of the trousers, at the time all the people were so curious, but from the group, from the crowd, there stood a fair complexioned fellow who wore the red turban and even who wore the white trousers. He comes front and says that, how much did you say the bill was? 11 annas was the reply. He paid the amount. He turned to me and said, put on your clothes. As the stranger had helped him, he heard the words of the stranger. Meanwhile, he did the rest. Come, he called me. I went with him. Did I have words to express my gratitude? I told him, you have done a great deed. I have not seen a finer man. So he continues there and tells that he couldn't have words to express his gratitude, but in turn he said, I didn't see a finer man like you. He laughed as a reply. What's your name? He asked. I told him my name and where I came from. So when the stranger interrogates him, then he said the details of him. Further, in turn, the narrator questions here the stranger, what's your name? For which he says that I have no name. In case if you may not have the name, then your name must be Mercy. This is how he was too concerned about the fellow who has helped him. And the people who may not have name, the people who will have kind heart, and they can be called without fail as Mercy. That was the name which has been given by the narrator to the stranger who had rescued him from the danger. He didn't laugh at that. He walked on until we reached a deserted bridge. The bridge where we may not see the movement of people. Up to that particular bridge they moved and walked. Then he gives the caution there to the narrator. If someone asks about his identity, he should not tell him. So if someone asks about the stranger's identity, he should say that he didn't see him. After revealing all the cautions, he took out from his various pockets about 5 wallets. 5 among them was mine. So here we can find that the stranger is none other than the pickpocketer. By looking at the worst condition of the narrator, he was moved, but nobody in that crowded restaurant had the dear heart like him, though he may be a pickpocketer. But by looking at the pain of someone else, he has the capability to move towards the person. Which of these is yours? He questioned there. I pointed to my wallet. Open it, he said there. I opened it. My money was there, intact. I put it in my pocket. He told me, go. May God bless you. So these are the words of the stranger. Let's see what will be the reply of our narrator. I repeated, may God help you. Even for a pickpocketer who had the great heart to help during the dangerous situations of another person, he must be blessed and he must be helped by the Almighty, was the wish to this stranger and a pickpocketer. So this unit is translated into English by Abdullah, titled A Man. The story is originally in Malayalam and he is a Malayalam short story writer. Thank you very much.